It's really a miracle, honestly. Like, I don't necessarily come from a family with like healthy marriages, or necessarily like a lot of emotional health in some areas. So it's definitely a reflection of God's goodness. That firstly, like my life was changed and my heart was healed, and that I thank God I met you when I had gone through a lot of healing.
Yeah.
Like God worked individually in my life first, before, and it doesn't always have to be before, like people can figure it out together. But I mean, I've had conversations with my sister, and she doesn't know Jesus, so it's a little bit different to have that kind of conversation. But she's like, bro, I'm never getting married. She literally has asked the question to me, like, name one healthy marriage in our family. Name one couple that has a healthy bond and healthy marriage. And I can't give her a name, you know? So it's like, it really is a miracle that God can use like anyone and anything. I mean, I had a great childhood. I have a great family, but I just don't see marriage in the way that she's had that conversation with me at all. It's not. I just know that like God is a restorer, and He restored me, and He allowed me to meet Him in literally the perfect timing, to where the maintaining individuality, like my allegiance and like first relationship is God, and then it's like I get to come alongside Him and we get to do ministry together. It's the best thing in the entire world. Like our relationship does not like fall and hinge on what each other can do, like what he could do for me or what I could do for him. That has to come from God, because we're human and like people will fall. So when my sister asked me that question, it's like, yeah, I don't see any healthy relationships necessarily from marriages in my family, but it's like, it's because Jesus was never in the mix. Like God was never at the center. So it makes sense. Like I almost can like 100% I can understand why there is no like solid footing. There is no solid ground. So like for what I think for our marriage and our family and like our kids, it's like I don't feel bound by my past because like God's freed me. So it's like the future's so bright. I'm so excited about marriage and building life and building a family. I feel so excited about it. It's so different than anything I've ever known.
Yeah, I think we just feel like a unique grace on our lives. Obviously, it's like can't compare to other people's, and
Yeah.
comparing like, oh, we're so much more of this than someone else. But I think like we've seen it in our lives, but then we've seen it in our relationship, even from like when we were dating, and we involved a lot of people while we were dating, especially doing long distance. For the first few trips back and forth, it was just like meeting each other's friends and family and pastors and people that meant a lot to us, because it was important. We felt like for our communities to be involved.
Yeah.
And unless there's some secret person that you didn't tell me about, like we didn't have anyone that was like, yeah, are you guys moving slower? You guys
No, that's true.
y'all should maybe don't move, maybe don't go to the next step. We just felt like we had people kind of champion us all along the way.
People who we trusted. Not just anyone telling us like, go for it, but
right.
Like trusted friends, trusted leaders.
I mean, having like real conversations with their friends, and like also helpful when your friends also ask you the questions, like remember it was like the second month we were dating, we went to, no, it was in January, we went skiing. In that conversation that Ryan overheard, and he's like up in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yeah, I heard the guys talking and they couldn't hear me. I won't tell you what they said, this was a private conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But my friend was asking me like, so you have any hesitations? Like, what are you worried about? And just like having friends that ask you the hard questions when you're dating, and just kind of along the way, we've felt like really favored in like a relational space, and even like through some prophetic words from people, just like a communication of a lot of favor and grace on our life and our marriage. Obviously, like with the warning of the spiritual weight and ramifications that come with that. But I really do feel like we've had just a lot of favor in our lives in transition and relationships and places, and I don't know, just like always had a peace about us, but we didn't have peace in other places.
Yeah.
And that makes life much more just easier to navigate.
Yeah.
Because life is not easy to navigate, and it's definitely harder to navigate it alone.
Mm-hmm.
So thankful for community, but then thankful for a healthy marriage that you get to navigate life with, to figure it out.
Beautifully said.
Did you pray for this?
Hmm?
Did you pray for this?
Were you 12 years old?
Individually. Both of you.
I don't know. I don't like, yes, but I think I was pretty young in the sense of Kayla's actually like my first girlfriend, and the only girl I've ever kissed, and that's not true for Kayla.
Come on.
But
Give me a break.
I think like even being young in like relationships, you almost don't know how to, like, at least I didn't know how to be super specific in the things that I wanted out of relationships. I never, like, I didn't know what it like really meant and looked like to be in a relationship. I think it was like praying more generally for my wife and the marriage that I wanted. I think it was also a lot of discovering who I was and what I felt like God was calling me to, and then praying that God just brought the person that was equally, quote unquote, equally as called and equally in the same direction that I was going. I don't know if it's probably more self-centered than praying for the other spouse. But I think like as I figured out what I wanted more for my life, it made it easier to figure out who I saw I could build a life with that was going in the same direction. But I don't know about Kayla. Kayla?
But wait, how did you know that Kayla was that
I was
person?
looking for my journal from like a few years ago.
Oh. I don't think I always knew that Kayla was that. Not in a bad way. I think just because we didn't date for a super long time and we were trying to figure it out. But I think I saw it more by how she had built her community post following Jesus, and how different that looked from her life before Jesus, but then getting around her friends and seeing at the pace of life that she was running at, and just kind of like the joy that she had in her life, even doing all these things and serving in local church and being a really, really great friend to people. And it just seemed like kind of randomly our lives just kind of like meshed. Even though it took a lot of purposeful decision because we were long distance. We almost broke up like a month or two before we decided that she was going to move to North Carolina. And it was kind of making that decision, like, do we really want to continue this route? And for me, it was like, is this person I really want to build the rest of my life with? And part of it's always a risk, but I think I trusted who she was, and kind of where God was calling me. And I think at the end of the day, it was like, I believe that Kayla is a worthy person to build a life with. And it's funny, we had this conversation like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, but we were like, you know, I think we probably could have married different people, and our life would have probably, like the way we would build our marriage probably would be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Just because of personalities and hobbies. Like, we probably could have chosen an easier way to build our life or our marriage. But when we decided that we wanted to build our life together with the other person, it's like it's a very conscious choice, and you also decide to do whatever to make it work. And we have a lot of fun trying to figure it out. Again, a lot of hard work. But I just trusted who Kayla was as a person and the life that she was building, and I felt a peace from God to take the risk and try and take that step of faith to do it. I know it's not as romantic sounding as we'd like it to be.
That's what I was telling you earlier. It's like not rainbows and butterflies.
No,
It's like
that's,
a lot of
But
our
it's better.
a lot of our relationship is purposeful choice in every single step. But I think we've also talked about that. The power of love within that is like the power of choosing every day, because that's what it's like 50 years down the road. And you don't let your feelings lead your life. Make your decisions and your feelings follow.
you know what's interesting? You both told the same story. Remember?
Yeah.
Like the same way. We almost broke up, by the way. Like
Yeah. It's like a little like.
you guys are literally one.
I just wanted to pull out a journal. I can't find it. It was my journal from conference.
Oh wait. No. But I mean, I definitely did pray for God to do a miracle, which would be like a healthy marriage, which is something I didn't see. I'm so sad. Look at all my old journals. Like, out of all of them, I can't find it.
Like, should I even keep these journals? Should
I know. It's like,
should my
definitely keep
kids
them.
read these?
Yeah. This is the real stuff. But I mean, I think this was just like after listening to a message on like marriage, like a sermon. I wrote like my marriage, like I wanted my marriage to be like a window into heaven, just pointing to Jesus, so people can see him plainly, like through us. But I didn't know you at that point. But I wrote down the prophecy that we got the day after we got married. This guy named Jim, he's awesome. And I had never had like a real prophetic word before. I mean, like little ones at church. And it's like, oh, that kind of makes sense. That makes sense. But he like spoke over us for like 30 minutes. It was awesome. And he spoke to like us individually and strengths and like gifts that we'd been given. And he said like the two of you is right brain meets left brain. I'm reading like the right points because he said a lot of different things. He was saying like, this is not just to talk about us, but it's just, I mean, to talk about us individually, but kind of like ties together. Saying, Kayla, you have a gift of communication, a winsomeness about your personality, which is kind of like me bouncing around at a party being like, hey. And then Jefferson, like, you go deep in relationships. Kayla, you're able to like get into people's lives quickly, but he alluded it to like me being like this net. And then Jefferson like bringing this depth along with it, that it's like we do different things and we have different strengths. But he said God wants to establish something between the two of you covenantally in our generation, like speaking to what a marriage covenant is really about, and to model to our generation what biblical covenant looks like and how it functions, which is like, we got that the day after we were married, so it's like, we don't even have this figured out, like, someone tell us what that is. We need to know. But I think it's just been sweet in conversations. And again, we do not have it all figured out. But it's like the more we share, and the more that like people ask questions, even ask about our story and like how we met, and the more like genuine and authentic we can be about like what it has realistically looked like, not just like what not just the pictures we post on Instagram, or like what this video will even look like. It can't even encapsulate all of it. But I think we've just had really cool conversations about, this is where I'm at, and like dating, and like asking for our advice, and almost giving that like this little window for us. People have kind of asked for us to speak into it. I mean, we had a friend over the other night, she's sitting on the couch, and we're talking about like, kind of like this guy, I don't really know what's going on, and like Jefferson's able to share like, hey, like, these are boundaries that I put in place and that I learned over time. Like, even before I met Kayla, I got to kind of share where I'm coming from, but then we get to share like our marriage and what we're learning. Has been really special. Not that we know it all, but I think the more like we grow and continue to share what we're learning together, I think God's gonna do something special with it. I don't know what that is yet fully, but I'm excited to keep learning and figuring it out.